So I'll call to order the Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustee December 8 meeting. If we could rise and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Albers,
Here.
Bird,
Here.
Calamay, no. Gonzalez,
Here.
Gray here, Hill,
Here.
Novick,
Yes.
Alrighty, we are ready to go. How about the motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of November 10, 2016?
I will motion to approve the minutes for meeting of November 10th,
And a
2016.
second?
I will second.
I have a question.
Questions, comments?
It's a comment. Under communications, Pam had handed out the article about the library non-users, and I think we need to follow up on that article in some form or fashion. It was excellent.
So no change to the minutes, you're just making a comment?
Yeah, just a comment I just,
Okay, no
Well,
further
I
comments
thought
or
it was
questions?
important.
No, that's fine, that's good.
I actually read it word for
Yeah,
word.
that's all right.
All
Okay,
right.
no further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? No? All right. Motion to approve the executive session of November 10, 2016.
Motion to approve the executive session of November 10th.
I will second.
It's pretty hard for me to find comments in this one.
That's fair.
If no comments, questions, or concerns, all in
Relatively
favor?
simple.
Aye. All right. Public comments on agenda items only, we seem to be short on public, so.
Cold out.
President's report, yes, it's cold out, we had a nice year, we're still solvent, everybody
We
seems
are.
pretty happy. I was at the Holidays, Morton Grove Fest Saturday. Some people pulled me aside and said, "You're the library guy," and I just want to comment and say that it's run really well and we like the new look, so. Good for us, let's keep it up. So, that's all I've got. Committee reports, finance?
Finance, everything is, and we still have the many accounts, but you'll see the Morton Grove. MB Financial Operating, which is the second line, that's at like a little, what'd you say, taxes and money that we've gotten in, we're just putting it in there, but it's just sitting. And then everything will go into that account once they, move it over. Check register, is that the, I don't know what's next.
Check register is fine.
There is a voided check on page 2. Wait a minute, where is it? 39446. Then you go down a little bit and then you'll see the voided, it was voided, it was made out to the wrong vendor
All right.
Okay.
for $2,061. Is that easier to?
Mhm.
So it's voided and reissued. Any questions?
It was reissued twice. It was issued twice.
Yeah, there's the
Oh, I
same
see,
amount.
there's a difference in the name.
Right, it was made out to the wrong vendor.
Yeah.
This is
Mhm.
minus and then plus the.
It was the vendor, not the amount.
Yep.
Any questions?
Okay.
Comments? Everything else looks good, investments, a little bit of interest, but that's about it.
That's all it's gonna
Everyone
be.
else
Losing
got
money.
down. Right.
I just have a sort of odd question with
Sure.
regards to fines.
Okay,
Where we had budgeted $30,000 in fines, there's only
right.
19.
Um,
Is it people are doing a better job of getting it back?
yeah, I mean, that's part of it, certainly. I think the other thing is that, in fact, I met with Jeff today, the head of Servcom, to do his review, and we were talking about a number of things having to do with, library cards and, non-users, but fines came up as part of the discussion, and he had mentioned to me that over the past couple of years, for whatever reason, Deborah had bumped that line item up, and so I had based my assumptions on those as well. So we will probably end up at about $22,000 in fines for this year, and certainly watch how it goes next year, and possibly have to make some adjustments after that. An interesting trend, and not a lot of libraries are doing it, but more and more are going fine-free, and boards have a plus, and there's some mixed reactions to that.
I was gonna ask
It
a
is-
question in the opposite direction.
It is something that we're watching and seeing how it affects, materials being returned, budgets, all kinds of things. Because for a lot of libraries, the collection of fines is really a very, very small percentage of the overall budget, and it eliminates a lot of barriers to use. But we're keeping an eye on the libraries that are doing that, just because we're all kind of fascinated by that
Is
idea. So.
Everything that goes out, is there a fine on it if it comes in late? Or are there some things that are not fine?
Everything that goes out of the Morton Grove Public Library, if it comes back late, is
Tapes
fine.
and
Yeah,
whatever.
everything is fine. Yeah. Yep. So, like I said, we'll just continue to monitor that over the next year, and have to more than likely make those adjustments in the 2018 budget.
All right, I was just curious if
Mhm.
people get better at returning.
Well, and I think too, over the past several years, we've allowed additional renewals if there's no holds on items and those kinds of things, and that all has an effect on how much fines might be bringing in. And things like, say for example, like DVDs, when we first started circulating DVDs, oftentimes the fines for those were higher because it was a higher demand item, and we're trying to keep those items in circulation a lot longer. And as the newness of those types of collections has worn off, a lot of the times we've lowered the fines for those as well. So that also has some impact on that.
All right. Any other
Are there any
questions?
other questions or comments?
If none, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. If no further questions or comments, can we call Alan?
Berg,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray, yes, Hill,
Yes.
Novick,
Yes.
Albers.
Yes. Nothing from facilities, nothing from policy this time around, staff reports.
So under the director's report, most of you have heard it, but I did want to let you know the old generator has been removed. We're working on getting a permit. We're probably gonna pour the concrete next week, weather permitting. Installation, I know it's supposed to be
Finally.
already in a couple days next week. But I think that was the only things I wanted to add to my written report. I did give you quite a detailed write-up of the incident that we had and our response to that. Luckily, we have had no other incidences since then reported to us as well, at least. So good news on that front, but
Are you getting quotes on surveillance cameras?
I have Ron and Dave, our new network administrator, and Dave, the facilities. I tasked them with looking into that, so we're looking into a number of options, both in terms of the number of cameras and the location of them, whether or not it's something, if we just wanted to buy cameras and install them ourselves, if we want to have someone come out and do that. We haven't made any decisions, and certainly I would bring that before the board before doing anything, but I did want to,
Are all the lights working out there too at this point?
I believe all the lights are working.
Okay.
At this point, and it helps also that the church has started turning their lights on earlier as well, so that makes a big difference, right when the time changed. And yeah, they were late, and I'd go out there at night and, everything would be completely dark, so
Let me
that's
know
made a
if
difference, but I will let you
Or
know.
call,
And
we got a
um,
pipeline.
but we are, if any of you are here in the evening and notice anything, certainly let me know, because we are trying to keep it well
Cause I
lit.
came to that art thing that night, and I felt like it was dark.
It was dark?
When I took
Okay.
the
There
ones
was,
so far.
and I don't remember the timing of when I noticed this, there was one night I went out and one of the lights did not go on,
Mhm.
and so Dave was looking into that, and I think we've since then
Okay.
rectified that situation, so it might have been around that same time. But like I said, luckily, we've gotten no other reported incidents, as is the library takes this very seriously, the village does as well. So, one of the great things about the community and the area is just the diversity, and we wanna make sure that people feel safe coming into the library. And we've gotten a lot of really super positive feedback from the statements and just the general demeanor of the staff as well, just reassuring people that they're welcome here and that, we wanna make sure they're safe.
That art night was very nice. by
Was
the
it,
way.
I heard many good things about that as
Did
well.
those incidents occur on our property or was that on the church property?
I believe this incident occurred on our property. I want to say it was on one of the parking spaces. It was in the parking, I don't think it was on the east side, I think it was in the back, but it was not in the park. It was not in the church lot.
Off the
It
alley.
was, yeah. So,
I have a few questions.
mhm,
When staff goes to programs, do
mhm.
they bring back reports to of what they learned?
Oftentimes those are made to their department heads. And then the department heads will, if there's something in particular that stands out, they'll share with me or put in their monthly reports. But the staff is usually required to give a written report of meetings and those kinds of things to their department heads.
On this resignation, Nana, I can't pronounce it.
Oh, uh-huh.
Was that a surprise or?
Yeah, she had been a computer assistant with us and had to leave for family purposes and then came back and thought that she had gotten her family situation straightened out and then was here for 1 week and she had to leave for family reasons. So, which was unfortunate. She was a really great employee and she was disappointed and we were too, but her family
So,
situation didn't
It
allow for
wasn't
her to.
willingly.
Right, yes, it's just kind of an unfortunate family situation that she had to leave.
I was looking at the number of library cards new and
Mhm.
renewed.
Mhm.
Do we keep track, I can't find the number right now, but if, say, 91 were renewed,
Uh-huh.
do we know how many more there are to renew? Are we aware of how many people don't renew?
We could pull that report, it's not
Because otherwise
something that we.
91 doesn't mean anything to me, the number.
Right,
I
right.
don't, if the library has 102 members, or, card holders,
Okay.
92 isn't bad if they, or 91 or whatever I came up with.
Okay.
I was just wondering if there's a way to do that.
There should be, we'll have to run that report, but we can certainly do that. And if that's something that the board would find meaningful is every month, the potential number of cards that are up for renewal that month, and then how many cards are actually renewed, we can start with. The department heads and I are actually going to be meeting the beginning of January to take a look at all of the statistics. And, we're gonna take a look at IPLAR, see what they require from us, what the per capita grant requires from us, what we've been reporting on previously, what's meaningful anymore, what's not meaningful, that kind of thing. So we can certainly add that if that's a statistic that the board wants to see.
One more.
I have
Okay.
a couple when you're done.
Oh, well, go ahead.
No, you can finish.
On the back page, the bar chart,
Mm-hmm.
I probably never noticed it before, but if this year there's been less per month than last year, then how come the year to date it shows more? The blue line is this year, the gray line is last year. Is that because the other 6 months of the year were so exceptionally high?
Yeah. I think, well, there were greater fluctuations between the highs and the lows of last year as well. And,
Because the bottom one, if I'm reading it right,
mhm.
it shows that the
The
opposite
green
what
is
I would
always
expect.
less than the silver, so you
I
would think
understand.
it would
That
be-
the
On the
green
bottom
You
would
would
one.
think it would total out that way.
Yeah, you would think
But-
that, wouldn't you?
Why is it on the first,
Okay,
last? Just curious, it
Yeah, no,
struck
no,
me
no.
as strange.
this is a Kevin Jones.
Yeah.
I will be, but I will, yeah. I
It
don't,
looks odd.
it does look odd.
Yeah, it strikes me as something's fishy here, unless the first 6 months were so incredible. But according to the chart on the bottom, it's not true, it's more what you would expect.
But they're on two different scales, though.
Would it have to do with the 6 months that the library was
Yeah,
closed?
so what
in
you're not seeing is
2015?
you're only seeing these 6 months,
Right.
but but this
Oh,
includes
that's a
the
year.
That's when it would have
previous.
been closed.
Yeah,
Whole
so
year.
you're not seeing the whole years.
So,
That's a
where,
year-to-date.
That's what that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
maybe it's the
that's
first
why.
6 months.
Yeah,
There's
and
3 months
it's a little
time.
misleading when you
Right,
first
which
glance
ones,
at it,
which
because you're
ones
assuming it's
the
reflecting
library
these
was
6 months, but it's
Yeah.
reflecting.
Very
It
confusing.
is. Mhm. And like I said, this is gonna be one of, we're looking at all of this.
This is
both
one of
the
those things you could
presentations and-
probably put
Right.
big ones.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it says right underneath, the dark bars are most recent 6
Yeah.
months, and the
Right.
light bars are
Right.
most recent
yeah.
6 months last year.
Yeah.
You know,
And when you first
it's-
glance at that,
and then
yeah.
you look at it, and there's something wrong then.
Yeah, I know, I had to look at it, I had to read the description as well. But earlier in 2015, that January through May of 2015 was when there was still renovation. And so the stats were considerably lower, you're just not seeing that reflected in the bar graph.
you done?
I'm done, it's
Okay.
your turn.
The youth services circulation I saw is down 12.3%. I don't know if that's statistically significant, as they might say. I just thought, because a teen and adult was only down 3.8, so I think it was quite a bit more than that. And so I just didn't know if anybody had a theory or if they're,
I don't know that we have a theory
Yeah.
beyond that, circ stats in general
Are
for the
down.
many libraries are just,
Yeah.
they are down. However, you know, as we've discussed in the past, it's not the only use, or it's not the only measurement of the use
Right.
of the library. And if
Yeah.
you look at things like program attendance and that kind of thing, you know, those stats are trending up all the time.
Yeah.
So, we're also doing, we're also trying to do quite a bit of weeding in that department, and as you know, oftentimes, making your collection more attractive and browsable and that kind of thing will
Yeah.
mitigate some of that. And we're trying to find space to do some face-out shelving and different things like that to kind of boost some of the circumstances.
okay. The only reason I asked is because it was
Yeah.
so much more than the other. And then the website was down 32%. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just will just
It's because it's too
the
close to turn the
website.
computer on.
That was a big hit for 1 month.
I was trying to think, November last year, were people checking to see if the library had reopened yet, but that was, it had already,
There could have still been some holdover from that, or
Yeah.
depending on what was going on with different
Yeah.
programs and stuff like that, so, the website stats are still kind of in a state of, it can be a little difficult to make some kind of apples to apples comparisons, because we're looking at some different things, and we're using some different, analytic tools
yeah,
that, you know, trying to get a more accurate read of how many people are actually using and accessing the site, and what pages they're visiting the most, and that kind of thing, and how many seconds they're spending on each page, and that kind of thing, to give us some clues as to, you know, do we have a lot of unnecessary information on there that people just aren't accessing and that sort of thing. So we are trying to use a lot more sophisticated tools to get some better information about the use of things like that,
Okay.
so.
Did I make a dent at this page?
Are we going to make
Did
that?
did I make a dent? I only got about 20 books from out of.
Oh, on the search stats for other libraries?
Yeah, 2 more sitting
That's
here.
okay. That's what we're here for. Any
No,
other
Stephanie
questions
got my
for?
question out of the way, so. that was good.
Yeah, we really want to start looking at ways to more accurately measure how people are using the library, not just.
New people with new ideas will bring some new analytics along with them, so that's all good. Anything further from our director? No, corporate council didn't leave anything for us.
No, not beyond the resolution stuff.
So then let's just do resolutions under unfinished business. Resolution 2016-5. The resolution to establish a travel reimbursement policy in accordance with the Government Travel Expense Control Act and reimbursement of travel, meal, and lodging expenses policy, courtesy of the College of DuPage.
Yes.
All right.
It was scintillating.
Yes, it
My
was.
skipping of it, I won't say I read
You
it
just
closely.
sat there and go, wow, why didn't we do this years ago, and the college wouldn't have done that to anybody. Can I have I reviewed it, could I have a motion to approve, or are we a
I have a-
motion to adopt?
I have a question once the motions are.
Hold on, I'm gonna write the,
We're going to adopt the resolution, correct?
Mhm.
How about a motion to adopt resolution 2016-5?
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2016-5.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, now, questions, concerns, comments?
Once, assuming we approve it, not that we have a choice.
We need one, might not be this one, but we.
Well, okay. Does this also go into the board bylaws?
This is specifically for the board.
Well, it does cover both board
It
and
covers
employees,
both.
but I
Direct.
would recommend that
I've been reading lately.
it would,
It's
that it
dangerous.
also go into the board bylaws, because one of the stipulations of the law is that
Trustees are,
trustees and, I don't, let me see.
trustees are now,
Trustees
have to
actually
approve a
approve
number
it,
of-
yeah.
Right,
Oh.
and so any expenditures
Levels.
by trustees have to be approved, roll
But
call
also
vote.
some by staff.
Right,
depending
so
on
the
the
difference
amounts.
between the trustee and the employee portion of this law is that the resolution can stipulate that, you know, as long as an employee, a staff person, fills out the appropriate paperwork, which is included in the new policy that's associated with this, and we set a dollar limit saying, you know, anything that's under, say, $750, which was the recommendation of the attorney, those expenses still need to be approved by department head, by the director. This resolution gives the employee and me as the director authority to approve those. The difference between the employee portion and the board portion is that any expenditure of any amount by the board has to be approved, roll call vote by the board.
Right, I
So
understand
you
that.
don't, so the board does not have that we can go up to a certain dollar amount. Every single expenditure that the board makes has to be approved.
I thought, not on that, when I read it, I thought I saw 750, if it's, for staff, if it's over 750, the board is.
Right.
And there was 1 or 2 other,
Yeah, and
Issues
that's a
like
dollar
that.
amount that the board can change.
Okay.
That was a recommended amount from the attorney, but that only applies that any expenses an employee has, if the board approves a resolution, I can approve anything over that amount that the staff person would have, an employee would have, then yes, have to come before the board. Any expenditure by the board, be it $1 up to $1,000 or whatever, the board has to approve that. And that is in a direct response to the board at College of DuPage.
that's all
going
the
on.
situation, that is the situation. in this part that's titled reimbursement of travel, meal, and lodging expenses policy. Throughout it mentions employee and officer travel. I assume officer means direct you,
Where are you looking at?
first line.
Oh,
It's throughout, and it uses the word officer.
Maybe
Right.
that, does that mean us though, I think?
Yeah, that would mean the board, but it
Well,
doesn't,
because in some places it had, employee and officer and the board. In other places, it just said employee and officer, but the board should also.
Well, you're not the board, this is the board, you're an officer.
right.
So
So it
there's
should
two
be
things
as a
they're
whole.
talking
Okay.
about.
Or
I just-
officers of the board.
yeah.
You're not the board.
I'd like to reread
That's why
it
we
once
got
when I
it
can
all.
So,
concentrate.
so if you look at, section E where it says approval of expenses, so it says expenses for members of the library board of trustees.
Right,
So any expenses have to be approved by a roll call vote at an open meeting of the board. So expenses for officials or employees other than members of the library board, so in our case, that's employees. Or if we had, depending on, and this is a lot of this wording is for,
to make the
a
government
number of
happy.
libraries are using it, and so some libraries, depending on their governance structure, like if they have appointed boards or appointed directors or something like that.
It's different.
So the terminology of what they're called may be different. So the section that, is, so number one applies specifically to the members of the board.
Okay. I could live with that.
Got it all covered.
We should, somewhere we have to note that when there is a bylaws committee, if there's going to be one, you know, an ad hoc bylaws committee or whatever, that this has to be translated into bylaws.
Can we just do that at the policy meeting
And
without
just add
having
it in.
a?
It's fine by me, I just don't wanna make that decision.
yeah.
Just would do a motion to add to the bylaw.
Or you can choose to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
because the other recommendation of the attorney is that because of, so when this was originally passed by the state of Illinois, I spoke with Frank about this, and also Rails was in contact with attorneys for them, and, you know, all the other directors of, you know, reaching out to their lawyers as well. And it's, in our employee handbook, which we've approved, there is a section on travel reimbursement, but because of this this resolution applies to both employees and the board, it was strongly recommended that we have a standalone policy for that. So, one of the things that the policy committee will have to do is that I will have to tweak the employee handbook to make reference to this standalone policy. Now, you could choose as a board to have your bylaws also make reference to the standalone policy, which would be probably how I would recommend doing that based on what the attorney
And let's just do that.
has counseled.
Simple.
I
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, I just,
I
it
think
seems
that
like there's a need.
that will have to be, I mean, and the policy committee can certainly review that, but
Yeah.
because that's specifically, if we wanted to follow the exact letter of the law in terms of what's on the agenda in the Open Meetings Act, we would want to put that on the agenda for it to be voted on. So we would want, the earliest we would be able to do that would be January, even if you wanted to do it as the whole board, or we can, you know, call a meeting of the policy committee beforehand.
We're meeting in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew we were, I just couldn't remember the exact
So,
date. So
if
if the
before-
policy
before
committee
the-
wants to review that and just
I think
make
it
that
is
final
before.
recommendation, and then we'll put that on the January agenda for that.
I think it's the Wednesday before, but it could go on the agenda.
That's no
ahead
problem.
of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, as long as I know that,
Right.
yeah. And you could choose at that time not to make any decisions about that,
Right,
you
but
just
it
have to
would be
have it
on the agenda if we wanted to.
We need, the board needs to approve a resolution by January 1st, because that's when this law goes into effect, so.
But do we choose to adopt it tonight, and then this other stuff is?
Yeah,
probably-
that's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. mhm.
Any further questions or comments? So we've had our motion, we've got our second.
Right?
Yeah, and then the board meeting's probably that next day.
It is.
Yeah, but yeah, I can make sure that's on the agenda.
Gonzalez?
Some motion.
What am I saying, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
If you're
If
good
you-
with approving this.
If you wanna fight with the state, you might get it.
I'm marking you down as a yes. Gray, yes. Hill.
Yes.
Novick.
Yes.
Albers.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes,
Welcome resolution 2016-5.
can't possibly fight
All right, 8B, trustee elections.
I just wanted to put this on there as a reminder for those trustees who are up for reelection, that the first date for filing your petitions would be the 19th, and you file this with the village.
Last day is the
Last day.
19th,
The last
and
day.
the first day is Monday next
Monday,
week.
the 12th, and I knew I had that backwards, so, are you sure? I'm sure you're
Yeah, I'm
right,
sure.
yeah, okay. Why am I thinking the 19th?
Oh, I don't know.
Something else.
They screwed up Lincolnwood or Evanston or whatever, they told people they had to be signed up by now.
Oh, really?
They screwed up big time.
I know there was.
So anyhow, it
yeah,
is, the 19th
so
is the
the
last
last
day
day,
to file your
yeah,
petitions
so
at City
just-
Hall.
And at the
With the
village,
clerk.
yes.
Do we know what happens if nobody runs and
They're open seats and it's just,
I know
You
somebody
filled
who's been
them.
around.
yeah, so that's all. If there have been open
Okay.
seats on library boards
One
many
person.
times, so we'll know on the
we?
19th.
Yeah, this is gonna get pretty skimpy if we,
I
Well, no more
tried and
than
failed
19th.
to recruit someone.
I didn't think I was going to, but I did.
So someone did send me an email regarding running for one of the seats.
Alright. Okay.
So like I said, I just wanted to remind people again about that.
All right. New business, the adoption of the 2017 calendar of holiday closing.
we should declare some more holidays.
I will
Then we
move.
could play like the government.
So we'll motion to approve that one.
Yeah.
And a second, who's second to that? Questions, comments, or concerns on this one? Since we're spending money, we want to call that one.
Gray, yes. Hill.
Yes.
Novick.
Yes.
Albers.
Yes?
Bird.
Yes,
Calvin, not here. Gonzalez.
Here, yes.
Alrighty, that one passes. Adoption of the 2017 Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustee regular meeting dates. Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the schedule of the regular Board of Trustee meetings
I
in
will say.
2017.
So we're filling up all 12 months, no scheduled day off this week?
At this point, the board always has the option of canceling
Seeing
a
how the
meeting,
vacation
depending
schedules
depending on
work.
the
All right.
vacations go or whatever, just so that we have enough notifications, we can always do that.
Congress recesses for the summer.
I
The winter and the fall and the
And they
spring.
get free haircuts.
And they get free haircuts.
So we got-
Or if the board wants to stipulate now that there'll be no meeting in August, you could approve it
When
with
are you not here?
an amended.
You want to take August
I
off?
thought we,
Speak now.
I would suggest leaving it,
I would
better
leave it
to
on,
leave it and
just in
take it
case.
off if need be, than
You,
to
and
take
you
it
guys
off.
can always
Okay.
soldier on without me.
We will schedule.
yeah.
You never know when something's gonna
If
come
if
up.
something
That's
comes
fine.
up where the board
Yeah.
needs to meet, you
We've
have
already
it in.
have it.
If not,
Yeah.
then you can rescind.
All right. So we have one motion to approve. Did I hear the second or miss the
Yep,
second?
I got two of them.
You got the second. Okay, all in favor of,
Oh, okay.
well,
I can do
let's
that.
call this one out.
Okay. Hill.
Yes.
Novick.
Yes.
Albers.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Gray, yes.
Communications, you covered some of it. There's a thank you letter.
There is a thank you letter, I also
Read.
copied people with my communication with the gentleman who brought the incident to my attention. I thought you might want to see that, but then also a thank you note to Debbie Wiedemann and the services staff.
Nice. And I did get some nice comments Saturday from some patrons.
No boys won the art contest.
No?
All girls.
That's Ellen Sponge.
My 6-year-old boy who entered noticed.
No.
Were they all left-handed?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Public comments, anybody new join us that cares to say anything? No? We have the opportunity to go into executive session.
I was at a funeral yesterday and I got a good comment about the library from a person.
From the dead person.
From that
Not from this person.
You know how that sounded. It's only Paul.
It was not necessary, but I thought it would be a good way to come into it.
Yeah.
I get comments too, I got some comments last night.
Yeah.
It's,
Nice
and you weren't
comments.
with me,
Oh, okay.
a couple people,
All good, though. I mean, I'm-
always good, I don't let them say that, I tell them all the other things.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad in my life, I don't care, that's what.
All right, I'll suggest we go into executive session just to cover some points with Pam, our director. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
We'll move to go into executive session.
I will
And
second.
the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body.
I'm just writing.
Now-
And who's willing to,
Just put employment,
and who's
is
gonna
that okay?
second?
I would do it.
Need a second.
Second.
Paul, any discussions? No, we'll make a roll call vote to go in.
Albers,
Yes?
Berg,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray, yes, Hill,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
In at 7:37. All right, motion carries. Now we'll clear the room and turn off. Dear board, I work for a company that's got this particular light in stock. It's what's gone bad outside. Didn't
Buy it.
realize it. Well, they're gonna take a look and see it, so I don't make any money off of it, but I'll get it for the library if we need it. All open and transparent here. And that's all I got to say, so if there's a motion to adjourn, in a second, we'll call it a meeting. Somebody, motion, please.
We want to be here all night.
Carlotta, I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, Gonzalez, do we have to do roll call for that?
No, we just
okay.
have to,
And you have
if
stuff
there's a
like how we need
second,
to
we're
sign,
done.
right?
Yes, you and Mark have.